Hey, SongTown. Great to see you again. It's been a heck of a week. Got Marty Dodson here with me. I'm Clay Mills, and just want to talk a little bit with you about something. I got an email today from a SongTown member who is asking about how do I learn how to target right for artists. And if you're not familiar with that term, it's pretty simple. Marty and I, as pro songwriters, will find out that X artist is recording next week or next month, and they need a song. And so we'll try to write a song specifically for that artist. So I thought it would be a good idea, Marty, if we just talk about, hey, how do you target right? What do we do that helps us hit that target? Because, we can show up today and just try to write the best song we can write today, or we can specifically target an artist and try to write something specifically for them.
Yeah. For me, it has to begin with kind of getting to know that artist.
Yeah.
And I do that by first reading their bio, because I want to know where they're from and how they grew up and all that kind of thing. So if they grew up in New York City, I'm not going to be throwing out ideas about sitting on the tailgate, because that's not going to fit them. So I want to know who they are and where they're from. I want to know what their musical influences are. And a lot of times that stuff's in the bio, Yeah. So I start there. And then I like to watch or read interviews with artists. So I kind of get in their head of like what they're thinking. I heard Kenny Chesney say one time, I've been touring for 267 days and I just want to disappear. So I wrote a song about that and he recorded it. I'm hoping he puts it on a record.
You don't want to tell us the title?
It's called I'm Staying Lost Till I Want to Be Found.
Oh, I like that. Till I Want to Be Found.
Yeah. And so, that was based upon something he said.
Just reading an article.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he didn't say anything related to that other than, man, I just want to go to the islands and disappear.
Right.
So I thought, okay, if I was feeling that way, how would I say that, in a creative way that turns that situation into a song idea?
Yeah. I mean, we did a whole episode not long ago about what's the difference in a situation and a song idea. Mm-hmm. And that's a great example of that. He just wants to disappear for a while. Okay, well, that's a situation he's in. But you turned it into, how can I make this a great song?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. And so those are the ways I start. I start by trying to get to know the artist. I listen to their previous records, the last few records, and try to get in the vibe of where they've been, where they're going, progression-wise, and you can learn a lot. There are a lot of artists. Keith Urban just kind of continues to get more pop as he goes along. Tim McGraw will do 3 or 4 records that get more pop, and then he'll reset back to really country.
Yeah.
And he'll start that progression again, so you can learn, it's probably time for him to go back to the really country thing. If I'm shooting for Tim McGraw, maybe I do something that's a little more retro country. But, just those kinds of observations, I think, of getting into the artist's head can really help you. And I'm a big fan, if you look at the pitch sheet in any genre, there's going to be hundreds of artists. And you can't get to know those people. You can't get to know that many people. Yeah. And so I kind of narrow it down to artists that I like. I feel like I can speak to their audience, and they cut outside songs.
Because if they write everything, it doesn't matter like how good a song you get to them. You've got to overcome the fact that they write all their songs.
Yeah, so I'm not going to write a song for Taylor Swift because she does that really well on her own, without me. But yeah, so I use those criteria, and then I've got 4 or 5 artists that I shoot for. If I'm writing country, I shoot for those 4 or 5 artists every day. And if I miss, there's still going to be an opportunity if it's a great song with somebody else, but at least I'm targeting these people that I know really well. And, another thing I think about too is that artists, they're all living the same lifestyle in general. Mm-hmm. They're on the road a lot. They're away from family a lot. Mm-hmm. Their job takes them away from people they love and their house and all that kind of stuff. So once you get into the head of 4 or 5 of them, you kind of are getting the lifestyle of all of them, and you can speak to a lot of things, that relate to a lot of them.
Yeah, I've written a lot with artists over the years and had some good luck with that. One thing I always did, if I wasn't familiar with the artist, if I come up with an idea I think will work for an artist, I Google and see, have they ever sung this song title before?
Yeah, I do too.
Because believe me, this happened to me one time, and it's the only time. Because if you show up and you're writing with an artist and you throw out a title and they're like, yeah, I did that on my last album or 2 albums ago. So if it's an older artist, they might have a whole career of songs they've recorded. So just, check and make sure if you've got an artist co-write coming up that, or if you've got I want to pitch a song to Keith Urban or whoever, just make sure that he hasn't actually recorded that title before, because it happens a lot.
Yeah. And that you brought up a good point. If you're writing with the artist, you've got a real advantage because you can ask them,
right?
What do you want to say? What are you feeling? What's going on in your life right now? And you can turn some of those things into song ideas. But most of us are, most of the time, pitching songs to artists. And one of the mistakes I see a lot is people being too specific. Like Kenny Chesney has Blue Chair Bay Rum.
Yeah.
I don't know how many songs people have presented to me that have Blue Chair in it.
Yeah.
And if he wants to write about something that close to him, he will write it. So you don't want to put Blue Chair and No Shoes Nation and all the Kenny Chesney isms that you can think of in your song if you're pitching it to him. So
right, you didn't write, I want to sit in my blue chair and disappear.
Right.
Yeah,
because it can come across that you're kind of peeping in their window.
Right.
So what you want is a song that feels to them like, oh, this expresses what I'm feeling right now in a really cool way.
Right.
Not, oh, this song was written exactly for me by someone who watched me watching Game of Thrones last night, and they mentioned that in their song, that kind of thing.
You're writing the feeling. You're not writing the specifics. And I think that's where a lot of people, even when we do our writing for artists crash course, a lot of people take the specifics they learn about an artist and they pitch that to the artist that we're working with. And that's not what's going to turn on the artist, the specifics. It's the feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone showed me a song one time they'd written for Jake Owen, and they had seen that he met his wife walking down a beach. So they wrote specifically what she was wearing, literally in real life, and what beach it was. And it was like, would Jake Owen want to sing a love song to his wife that you wrote? Someone else wrote that's that specific, So in that scenario, you go, okay, if I met my wife in a random way, what might I write about? So maybe I'd write a song called Out of the Blue, where I go, imagine finding love out of the blue. That's not so specifically his story, but having been through that, he's probably going to relate to that idea, because I took his situation, I came up with a cool way to address someone that's in that situation, but I didn't try to peep in his window and look at all the details or dig up pictures of what was his wife wearing when she was walking on that beach and that kind of stuff,
Yeah, and I think musically, we're talking a lot about lyrics right now, but musically, doing your research, for instance, when the first time I wrote with Darius Rucker, he came out of the rock band Hootie and the Blowfish, and he needed something for his career, to launch his career as a country artist. So I knew going into my write, how was I going to bridge what he was doing before and write the next chapter? So I made sure when I listened to Hootie's greatest hits, I go, okay, a lot of these songs had guitar riffs. Like they were built around a riff on guitar. So when I presented my first idea to him to write, I made sure I had a guitar riff in there. It wasn't anything like that, but it helped bridge the gap musically between a rock artist and this new country artist. Yeah. And so I think musically it helps that you think, what's the next chapter? Because if they've done something musically before, then they might go back into that well occasionally, but usually they're looking forward. Like there was a point you brought up Tim McGraw. Well, there was a point where I got a song on hold with him one time. He didn't cut it, but I'm okay. I'm okay with that. But I got pretty far in the process because at that time I had heard he was really into Matchbox 20. And so I kind of patterned a melody that I felt like was more progressive on that rock tip than what he would do as a country artist. And so that got their attention. So I think you always have to be looking, what's the next thing? What are they going to do next?
Yeah.
Because if you just give them something they've already done before, it's not going to excite them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I think putting all that together, if you're trying to target right for an artist, spend a little time doing research, find out where their head is right now if you can. Be sure to listen to their previous couple of records if you've got that access to that. And like you said, you've mentioned before, it's kind of like a quarterback throws the ball where the receiver is going to be, not where the receiver is right now. So you're always looking at like, they seem to be kind of going in this direction. This is going on in their life right now, and you can put together all the pieces to understand what to better write for them. Another trick that I did one time successfully for Carrie Underwood was I studied what she had done on the last few records, and I realized that she wrote all of her ballads. She wrote all or almost all of her story songs, but at that time she had not written any of the man-bashing before he cheats kind of songs. So came into my co-writers and was like, hey, let's write a man-bashing song if we're going to try to pitch something to Carrie, because that's what she cuts the most of as outside songs, and then she cut it.
Wow, you got really specific going, okay, if there's a ballad, I can't play her a ballad because she writes those. Mm-hmm. And she's only going to have one or two of those on a record, so she's going to write those. So you figured out what that slot was that you could write and have a shot. That was awesome. I remember one time with Darius Rucker, they played me everything they cut for the first record, but they were going to go back in. They felt like they just needed something else. So I was in a position where I had written a song with him that they recorded. It's on that first batch of songs. And so I got to hear what he had. And so I just was sitting there listening to their project, went home, and then the next day I wrote with the producer and Darius, and I was like, you guys don't have any romantic songs on your album. And instantly they're like, oh, wow, we didn't realize that. So I think trying to find out, if you're lucky enough to know what they've already recorded, mm-hmm. or you could basically do this with any artist. If you know what they've recorded, you're looking for something that is universal that they need to record, because that's going to get you the gig. That's going to get you that cut. And it got me my second cut on the album because I just came up with, you don't have a romantic song.
Yeah. And that kind of research can go a long way of just, if you study an artist, you will notice that usually artists do 3 or 4 different things.
Yeah.
And they have those 3 or 4 different things on every record. So Carrie Underwood will do sappy ballads. She'll do, and by that I mean heartfelt ballads, not in a bad way. She'll do story songs, and she'll do those man-bashing songs. That's pretty much what she does. So you can break that down for any artist and go, oh, okay, Kenny Chesney does songs about the beach lifestyle, and he does songs about summer love and love lost kind of
But
thing.
He never says, I love you.
Right.
But he has, I think, in one song that I remember. But if you're trying to pitch to Kenny Chesney writing a song, just know, not telling you shouldn't write I love you, but if you're pitching it to him, just know there's probably better pitches, because that's just not an emotion he says in a song to a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
And, but so you can do that with every artist and you go, oh, seems like the 4 things this artist does are these, and they write these 2. So if I'm going to get a cut, I need to write in one of these 2 lanes, and that can really give you an advantage. When I'm going into a co-write, if we're target writing, I'm trying to be the most knowledgeable person about that artist when I walk in the room. It's like, I want to know what they're thinking. I want to know what they do. I want to know what they write and what they don't write, and all those kind of things. And that can really help you hit that target.
You want to know more about the artist than they know themselves.
Exactly. So you knew that he didn't have a romantic song.
Yeah.
He didn't know that.
But I did know that he could sing a romantic song just from his past. basically he can cover any emotion.
I only want to be with you. Yeah.
Yeah. I never heard you sing like that before.
Well, you never see.
You caught me by surprise.
I didn't mean to scare you.
I'm speechless.
That's all right.
All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time. Check out sweetwater.com, our sponsor. It's where I get all my gear. Marty gets his gear there, too. So we don't take on sponsors for this show unless it's somebody that we really believe in, and they've been great to us. So.
They're awesome. See you next time.
Cheers.